Hello, everybody. Welcome to my Photopea introduction, basic introduction. Just going to go over some of the basics of the program and how to use it and how I would like students to be using it in the first few days, even first few weeks. And the first thing that you're going to want to do is basically open up an image so that we can see how things work out. When you go to photopea.com, this is the screen that opens. It's pretty easy. You have like new project open from computer. If you go to new project, for instance, you have a lot of different options. You can change like the width and height. 72 DPI is very low for a photo class. Could be used for like social media stuff, anything that's only going to be remaining on a digital platform like the internet. But like 300 DPI is usually the bar for anything in the photo world, right? And you have what's kind of cool is you can change like the width and height based on points or inches. So you have like 10 by 17 here in inches. You can choose different structures, crops that are based on like a Facebook page cover, shared images, Instagram story, Instagram post, things like that if you were interested. And then you just hit create when you pick something. It's really simple and you'll see like a white page open up. But what I want to do is I want to open up a image for my computer. So I'm going to go to open from computer and click on that. And then I can basically choose any images that I have on my desktop. And I'm going to choose one image of my children that I have. And when I click on that, it's going to open up, right? So what I'm going to do is just go over some of the basic areas of Photopea with you right now. And there's three sections I want to point out. There's your left section here. There's your top section up here. And there's actually two elements of your top section. There is the toolbar, which is up there. And then some of your other like working palette options. And over here on the right are actual palettes that I like to call them that deal with navigation or the components of the document that you're working on. So on the left are tools. These are different tools that we'll be going over throughout the next couple weeks. On the top, as I mentioned, are some different options with editing that I'm going to focus a lot on today. And over here on the right are your palettes. And for instance, like here I have history, I have swatches. If I click on swatches, these are your colors, obviously. You can make swatches and things like that. We're not going to really get into it too much. The ones that are most important for you are your layers palette, which we'll get into into the future a little bit. And this nav is one that I like, which is a navigator that allows you to easily zoom in or zoom out. And what's cool, if you zoom in, you can actually click on the square and you can move around your image, right? And if I want to get rid of that, I can click on that. It opens up all of those palettes, but then I can close it again as well. I can also go up here to window and click on something if I was looking for it specifically like navigator, and that would pop up right there. So what I really want you to focus on in this first introduction, though, is up here with image and adjustments. I talked a little bit about the sizing options that you have with your work, and you can do that here too as well. You can go to image and change the image size. You can change the DPI, things like that. I don't want to do that right now. What I'd really like you to focus on is adjustments, image adjustments. And when you pull up image adjustments, you will find that there's a lot of options here. And these are the basic options that come along with a lot of photo editing software. So, and you'll see these little lines here, and this is broken up very similarly to what Photoshop looks like. So it does transfer fairly easily, your skills, your knowledge set. The first section deals with values, light. The most important thing in photography is light, and not shockingly, your first options for adjustments deal with light as well. Levels is one of my favorites for you all to start. What you get is a basic graph here that has your shadows in black, your midtones in the gray box, and your highlights in white. Don't pay attention to this bottom half yet. That can come later with more advanced level editing. But it's very simple. If you pull your shadows over, your shadows get darker. If you pull your highlights over, your highlights get brighter. And then this is your midtones. If you pull it to the left, it gets brighter. If you pull it to the right, it gets darker. A very good first step is making sure your values are where you want them. And sometimes that could involve just very simple changes, right? Not a lot that we need to do really to kind of get it to where we want it. You can hit the preview box to see what it looked like before. And if you don't like it, you can close out. If you do like it, you can hit OK and it stays, right? Let's say I didn't like what just happened. I decided I made a mistake. I can go to edit, undo, right? Or Command Z to step backwards as well. So next, I want to go to show you some more of these. You have brightness contrast, which is like makes it literally brighter. This doesn't give you as much control as values or levels does on your values, because you can kind of like pinpoint different things, but still this might be useful, and it has a different application that you might prefer for certain images and certain editing choices. You also have under that curves, which is a much more advanced version of levels that gives you another like an X and Y axis. But down here, these are your shadows. So if I click on this line down here and I pull down, you're going to see things get a little bit darker. But if I pull up here, they're going to get brighter. And you'll see I can kind of make S curves with my shadows, and I can move these anchor points, as they're called, around it to kind of like change that. So now I have my highlights going extreme, my shadows going pretty extreme as well. One of the things I like about this is I can always come in and I can make changes. I like to do some simple elements like this, and then maybe bring it down a little bit for my shadows, maybe being able to subtly pull up my midtones while keeping it a little bit smooth into my shadows. But you can play around with this. You can make a bunch of anchor points, do whatever you want. I'm going to cancel that, not make the changes. So after that, you basically have a section that deals with color, because color after light is extremely important to editing images. What you'll see with something like vibrance is you have a saturation option, but vibrance, what it does is it doesn't really oversaturate. It enhances the quality of your color rather than the overall intensity of it, right? So you see, like I go from here all the way over here. It's not very extreme. When I play with saturation, it gets kind of weird, right? The same thing is going to go, I'm going to cancel that. You'll see it go back. The same thing goes for hue saturation, which is one of the many places that you can make a photo black and white. But you'll see if I go here to saturation, it's very intense. It is increasing the saturation, not necessarily the quality of the color like vibrance. But here I can also make changes to my colors if I wanted to. And what's kind of cool about this in hue is, let's say I just want to change the greens. If I go to green and I change it, you'll see only the green areas are going to change. Now in Photopea, the only thing that's registering as true green is the darks in my grass, the very dark elements in the grass and the shadows in the grass, right? A lot of times, things that you might think are green register more as cyan or yellow. So here I got my cyan, it's changing. And I'll go to my yellows and you'll probably see the grass change. See? So you want to like play around with it, try to figure out what it's being read as certain colors. This is very generic. It doesn't do a lot of detail work here, but it is a way to make changes to colors selectively. It's one of the many ways to do that. It's also one of the places you can make an image black and white. So if you pull the saturation down, you can make it more black and white. I'm on yellow, so I got to go back to master and pull it back down, and it'll be black and white. Again, that's one of the many places you can do that. So going back to image adjustment, you can play around with color balance. Is a much more natural way of changing the colors versus hue saturation. And what you'll see is you can like make the reds more intense or make the reds a little bit less intense. And this is more of a way to like correct issues. Like if you have a picture that came out a little bit overly blue and cold or a little bit overly warm, you can just kind of come in here and like tweak. You can make an image much more colder or a lot more warm by playing around with your blues and reds. Okay. And you can also change like where it's impacting that. Highly recommend just kind of diving in and experimenting with all these programs and options as you see fit. Black and white is a place where we can make an image black and white. One of the cool things about this is it allows us to make changes to the color values, as you see. So we know that, for instance, the wagon was registering as cyan. So if I go to this, you'll see I can make some pretty intense changes to how cyan is recorded in black and white, moving away from color. And you can kind of create some cool effects that make it, here you can see like that's bringing a little bit of definition into my grass, which is kind of nice. But you can also have a lot of cool effects that kind of make it like infrared pictures and things like that. It's fun to play around with and see what happens. I'm going to close that out, go back, image adjustments, photo filters, do what you think it does. It adds filters. Here is a very sepia orange filter being added. I can change the density. Basically, it's the intensity of that filter. So here's a low, here's a high intensity, here's like a middle. I can click on that and I can basically do any color that I want to do. So I can choose like a cyan, go okay, and now I'm getting a filter of that color over my image. Again, play around with it as you see fit, have some fun. Back to image adjustments. By the way, I don't usually use any of the auto options. I like for you to learn how to manipulate pictures with purposefulness rather than just like on accident. Don't really use channel mixer or color lookup. I'm going to skip here to like invert, which I call this like section the weird stuff. So if you go to invert, it inverts your image. So, I'm going to go to edit, undo. If I go to image adjustments, I make my image black and white. I hit OK, and then I go into invert. It's going to make it a negative version. So this is what like a photo negative would look like. I'm going to edit, undo, and then I can undo again, right? I can keep going back. I can step backwards instead of undoing, and it'll eventually go back to where I was. There we go. Oh, I was stepping forward instead of backwards. My mistake. So again, notice that step backwards is different than undo, redo. Step backwards, you can keep doing it as much times as you want. So moving back to image adjustments, you have posterize, which kind of does this weird poster sort of effect to your image. This is the intensity of it, and you have everything in between. I don't really ever use this. If you want to do something like this, I suggest using a different program like Illustrator or Gravit Designer for stuff like this. Back to image adjustments. Threshold turns it into like a positive negative, which is kind of like a stencil. If you wanted to make a stencil, I'm going to close that out. And gradient map is actually really useful and can be pretty awesome. So this is another way that you can make an image black and white, and it's actually one of my favorite ways to make black and white. I like the quality that gradient map brings to a black and white image, and I also have some control over how I can play with this over here by clicking on the gradient and moving things around. See how it kind of moves my shadows over, or I can move my highlights over a little bit, kind of like in levels. But it gives me some power over my gradient, and you can play around with this a little bit again. You can also do cool stuff like different types of gradients. So for instance, if I choose this one, it applies a color gradient. And what's cool here is if I click on the gradient, I can actually make changes to the colors. So if I click on that, I get an option to change it. I'm going to go with a cyan to kind of keep it in line with the blues here, right? I'm going to hit OK. And then this can stay yellow, or I can go change on that, and I can click maybe a lighter yellow, right? You can kind of see every time I click on a color, I get a little bit of change in my image. So I'm going to make it white and hit OK. You can play around with different gradients. Some gradients have a lot of different colors that you can kind of play around with. You can also add anchor points in here by playing around with this. But that is gradient maps. I'm going to close that out. It has a lot of great applications for graphic designs, especially. The last thing I want to show you is shadow highlights. And it's one of my favorite options in Photoshop or Photopea. And it allows you to basically play around with like specific levels of your values. So like you have your shadows and you can see it's very subtle, but if you pull it over, it'll, make your shadows brighter or darker. So see how they're dark, and I'm going to go up. Now they're brighter, right? And I can play with my highlights too. So I can make the highlights darker as well. And I can also play around with like the radius of that too. So just something to kind of consider using for some subtle changes to your images in that area. So let's close that out. That pretty much does it for image adjustments. Really quick before I let you go, I'd like for you to also, after you do some experimenting, playing around with exploring these options here with your images, I also just want you to quickly check out filter and see a lot of the different things that you can do in filter, such as let's like sharpen an image. So I'm going to go to my unsharp mask. Under sharpen, I know unsharp mask seems counterintuitive if I wanted to sharpen my image, but it gives you a lot of actual control over how sharp your image ends up. And what that does is it like if your image was slightly out of focus, it can help make those lines a little bit more crisp. So here's the image at 0, right? And here it is at a much higher percentage, 150. Keep in mind a lower DPI image would do a better job of being quicker here, but we want to have a higher DPI when we're dealing with photos. So that's like sharpen. I'm going to close that. And again, show you that there's a lot of other options. You can stylize, you can do some noise, you can distort, you can blur. So that's the opposite really of sharpening an image, is to blur it out, right? And again, I can change that. And eventually we'll get to the point where you can select specific areas and blur them out more purposefully. But that's it for your basic introduction to Photopea. Have fun editing some of your photos, and I look forward to seeing the results. Cheers.